Welcome back, everybody. So my next movie review for you is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But before I get into this movie review, if you like watching my reviews, please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. That would be very, very much appreciated. So the Temple of Doom was released on May 23rd, 1984. Once again, the director was Steven Spielberg. The story behind this movie is again done by George Lucas. It was made on a budget of 28.2 million US dollars and made 333.1 million US dollars. The cast in this movie consists of Harrison Ford, Kate Capshaw, there are some names in here that I cannot say, Roshan Seth, plus many, many others. So in this next installment, we find Indiana Jones in India, where a bunch of poor villagers basically reach out to him to track down an ancient stone which has been stolen by some evil priests. So in this second installment, what do I honestly think? This is an interesting one for me because I watched this the other day and I haven't seen this movie for quite a while, and I saw this movie very, very differently compared to what I used to see this as. This is still an entertaining movie, yet there are some things in here which are quite stand out. It's not a bad movie in any way, shape, or form, and I still enjoy it. I just don't enjoy it, say, as much as the first or the third one, and I'll get into those reasons right about now. So here we go, The Temple of Doom. So I watched this movie the other day and now I'm finally reviewing it, but before then I cannot honestly remember the last time I watched this movie. I've watched Raiders of the Lost Ark many times and I've watched The Last Crusade many, many times, but I couldn't honestly tell you when the last time I watched The Temple of Doom. Now, I'm not saying that this movie is bad. I still find this very, very entertaining, but the premise and the foundation of this movie is actually centered around some quite dark content. In other words, child slavery, occult sacrifice, and just death in a certain respect, to be fair. Like I said, that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. It's just something that really, really stood out for me on this occasion of watching, which then suggests to me it's been a long time since I watched this movie, because it is very, very prominent and it's something that I never really picked up on when I was younger because I still just thought it was an Indiana Jones movie. But looking into this movie now, I just see this as a bit more of a darker movie, and they're not ashamed and they're not shy of actually showing this. There is a scene at the beginning of this movie in a restaurant and there's a death scene in there, and I know that this scene is done mainly on practical effects, and I'm just like that, whoa, that actually freaks me out more than most horror movie deaths, to be fair. And it's not even that gruesome, it's not even that brutal as such, it's just the way that they produce this. And then, like I said, they're not afraid to show you that they are taking a very, very, very darker turn down on this one. And to be honest with you, when I was doing the reading for the bonus facts, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas actually did this for a reason, which I'll get into in the bonus facts. But like I said, if you take away the darkness, it's still an entertaining kind of adventure watch. It doesn't have the same feel as the first one, but I'm okay with that. It's mainly centered around one location. It's okay, you lose that kind of sense of adventure and traveling around the world to try and find this artifact. It is mainly just traveling around this building instead. I'm not saying that that is a massive dampener for this movie, because again, like I said, by the end of the movie I was still very, very entertained. Other parts of this movie I really enjoy is they focus a very lot on suspenseful build up in this, especially towards the end. There are so many different bits going on at the end of this movie, and you're going, they get past one problem and they get automatically or straight away presented with another problem, and then they get rid of that problem and then they get into another problem. I actually generally like that because it was full of that suspenseful kind of feel, which added more entertainment to this movie. And obviously, if you've seen this movie, that end sequence or the third act of this movie is absolutely fantastic, especially with the kind of cart going through the mine and the bridge and everything else. There's a series of events there which is a constant on-running kind of suspenseful build-up. You get rid of one problem, they get presented with another one. They get rid of that problem, they get presented with another one. It's a nice touch. It adds a bit more entertainment to to the movie, which makes it, again, a very entertaining watch, because I can, even though I don't watch this movie or say like this movie, say as much as the first or the third one, by the end of the movie, I'm still like going, yeah, I'm still entertained by this. It's as simple as that. And even with performances in here, now, obviously we have Harrison Ford coming back to play Indiana Jones. When a character comes back to play in a sequel, you've already been introduced to his character. You know his kind of persona on screen. You know how he's going to deliver the lines. Again, he is absolutely fantastic, but that's part of this. And it's something, yes, okay, you can predict some of the things he's going to say and how he's going to be, but it's still enjoyable to see his performance on screen. It's exactly the same as kind of supporting actors in here. Kate Capshaw's character in here, she is a bit more, how do I put this, vibrant or louder in this movie, and she's very, very vocal in this. And yes, okay, at certain points I did find her character slightly annoying, but she still adds her element into this movie, which still makes it very, very interesting. And you can't have an Indiana Jones movie without a good villain, and the villain in this one, I can honestly say, is probably a little bit better than probably the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Even though there's not a huge backstory to him, he has this very, very creepy, sinister, dark feel to him, and it is nailed really, really good, because like I've said in past movie reviews, sometimes less is more. And the fact that you don't know a huge amount of him, but what you see, but you can see his goals, you can see his drive behind him, which just makes him just a little bit more scarier. Visuals in this movie as well are absolutely brilliant. Like I said, I'm a massive fan of set designs in this, and this is another classic example of this. You can see attention to detail in this movie, and I just love everything about it. They're just visually, it's not hugely reliant on CGI. Now, I'm not saying I'm not a fan of CGI, okay? It's some films do need CGI, but I'm a massive fan of just practical, good old-fashioned stunt work. And this movie and the Indiana Jones movies are a classic example of that. You get to see this in this movie, and it's just fantastic. I love all the kind of little the little bits of attention to detail and set work and everything that goes into it, the production and how long it takes. I love all that kind of stuff, and this movie is a great example of this. And it just makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, because old school filmmaking for me is the way to go. I love it so much, and even the Indiana Jones movie, the first three, are classic examples of this, of just attention to detail and lack of CGI, even though there is CGI in this movie, but it's not heavily reliant on it. It's just good old-fashioned stunt work, and you stick all those elements together. I just find it a very entertaining watch. Now, if I was to give this movie a rating, it's not going to be a 10 out of 10. And that's not because I dislike this movie in any way, shape, or form, okay? It's really, really not. I just don't enjoy this movie as much as I do, say, the first one or the third one. Now, I know there's people that actually enjoy this movie more than they like the other two, but for me, if I was to give this a rating, I would give it an 8 out of 10, and that's not because it's a bad movie. There isn't nothing in here that I dislike. It's just I just don't like this one as much as I say I do the first one or the third one. There's nothing in this movie I particularly dislike. There are certain things in this that might be slightly out of place, but as a whole, as a general, I was still entertained by the end of the movie. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So, on that note, please stay tuned for the 5 bonus facts to do with the Temple of Doom, which are coming up right about now. So, here we go. 5 bonus facts to do with the Temple of Doom. Fact number 1. The first idea for the Temple of Doom came only 2 weeks after the release of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I kind of like that. They already kind of had the idea for a sequel very, very early on. I like that a lot. It almost feels like they knew that the movie was going to be a bit of a success. Which I think is really, really cool. Fact number 2. The darker tone was meant to be that way in the movie. Lucas and Spielberg basically both wanted a more of a downbeat kind of mood to this movie, so they purposely introduced the darker kind of tones into this movie, and apparently it was arbitrated by, well, the extreme kind of dark theme was arbitrated by Lucas's and Spielberg's retrospective marriage breakups, apparently. That was what I was reading. So there's the reason why this movie had a more of a darker tone, as that was meant to happen, and it was arbitrated by their broken up marriages, apparently. So there we go. So, fact number 3, Cape Capture's priceless dress was actually eaten by an elephant in there, and you can see there is a great scene in that movie where the elephant does take quite a bit of a shining to her, to be fair, so I can quite believe that actually happening. Fact number 4, the bugs grossed everybody out on set. There is a scene in there where even and I hate bugs, and there are some pretty damn ugly bugs in that movie, which do actually send a whacking great big shiver down my spine. So I can quite believe that it can gross a lot of people out, because if it grosses me out and I'm just watching it on the screen, yeah, it's gonna do. Oh, crazy. It makes me feel sick. It makes my skin crawl. Ugh, it's horrible. Anyway, fact number 5. Harrison Ford was seriously injured on set, but the production still soldiered on. He basically aggravated a disc in one of the fight scenes in The Room. And he was seriously injured, but apparently had a rest for a bit of time and then just carried on going. The guy's an absolute legend. You know, it was a slip disc. Essentially, it was a slip disc, and he had a few weeks rest, I think, and then just he carried on while having the slip disc. Just a machine, that guy. How that guy is still going right now, I have no idea. It's just a machine. Now, there was a lot of facts on this movie, a hell of a lot of facts, to be fair, mainly covering a lot of the darker kind of themes to this movie and all that kind of stuff, but there was 5 of them. I might think about starting to make these 5 bonus facts into like maybe 10 bonus facts at the end of this movie, because there is a lot of interesting different facts on movies when I start reading up, but it would seriously increase the kind of runtime of my videos. So I'll have a think about that one, but even still. So on that note, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below as normal. Hope you all have a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please take care and goodbye.